Hello everyone, George DeSantis here with the look at the market for the week ending Friday, March 8th, 2019. And before we go any further, take a look at the disclaimer and just be aware that I'm not a licensed professional investment advisor. So if you seek professional investment advice, get someone who is so qualified. I'm a psychologist, I'm not an investment advisor. These videos are done for my own edification and for those who care to take a look. So let's start as we usually do with a weekly chart of the S&P 500. For those who are new, bear in mind that each bar represents a week's data. Each candle or bar represents a week's data, the high, the low, in this case, the open, the close, because it closed lower than it opened. Okay, let's look at some bullish indications first, and then we'll see what bearish indications there are. So the bullish indications, we can begin by looking at the moving averages. So the 4-week moving average is above the 9, the red line. This one here, the red line. And that is above the 30-week moving average, exponential moving average, the green line. The green line, just overlaps with the 50-day moving average, this magenta line that you can barely see. If I open it up, you'll see it right here. Okay, so they just barely overlap each other. Now, what happened recently was that we hit that resistance level, that 2815 resistance level. We hit it before. We hit it last week. We hit it again. 2 weeks ago we hit it. We hit it last week again. We hit it over here some weeks ago, many weeks in November. And so this becomes a very significant resistance level. Insofar as bullishness is concerned, we could continue to look at some of these indicators here. MACD is still in bullish territory, although it retraced a bit. The histogram is a little shorter than this. Williams percentile 30 period, which I use, is still above that minus 50 line. And when it's there, we can claim that it's more bullish than bearish. And the RSI 12, which is a very good indication of whether or not we have an uptrend on the weekly chart, that is above the 60% line. It's at 61.13. So those are the bullish indications. Insofar as the bearish indications are concerned, I mentioned one before, we have a bearish engulfing candle here. We're hitting resistance here. So in order to get to this new high, to make a new high, to surpass the 2940 high of September, we need to break above 2815. You can see that clearly here. We might stay in a trading range between this 2724 level and the 2815 level. We might stay between there for a little while. My guess is that we are not going to go much further down. I think we're going to find support somewhere here. Now we turn to a daily chart of the S&P. You can see the same support resistance lines here. And what we have here, you can see clearly, is that on Friday, for example, we pull back to that 2724 line support level. And we don't know how strong that support will be, but it's quite likely that we'll find support here. We're close to the 50-day moving average, the magenta line here. You can see that the 4 broke down below the 9. This yellow line broke below the red line. And this is the 200-day moving average. So we're now below the 200-day moving average again. So these are all bearish indications. No need to mention, I think we could see that we bumped off of this resistance level here. Insofar as MACD is concerned, on the daily chart, the chart became bearish, falling below the 0 line. Williams percentile 30 period is still above minus 50. That's encouraging from a bullish standpoint. And while RSI 12 is below that 40% line, it is most prescient when you look at it on a weekly chart. So we are in a critical area here. We don't know how far down this thing might go, but my guess is that we're going to find support here and somewhere around this level, and that we go higher from here. I am almost fully invested anyway, so we'll see if that's a bad deal or if it's a good deal. And here's a chart of the S&P ETF SPY. It's approximately 1/10 the price of the S&P itself, S&P 500. So you can see that it's rated bullish on the shaking power gauge rating, the weekly gauge here. You can see that it turned green here, so it's bullish. We can see that although the relative strength versus the small caps, IWV, the Russell small caps, is continuing to trend up, although it's still in negative territory. It's oversold. You can see that it's oversold here. And the money flow has reduced somewhat, has come down somewhat, but it's still in positive territory. Looking above here, you can see that it broke above this long-term average. It's approximately a 200-day average, and it broke above it. Was riding this upper band here, the upper channel, line of the channel, and then it pulled all the way back to this 200-day average, approximately 200-day. Well, the question then becomes, is it going to find support here? I'm betting on it. I'm betting that it's going to find support here. Of course, that does not take, that's purely technical, from a technical point of view, and so I'm guessing. But it doesn't account for any geopolitical events like Brexit or tariffs or China or who knows what, North Korea. This is purely looking at the charts, okay? And what I'm seeing here, it's oversold, it's bullish, its money flow is still positive, and the relative strength is increasing here. So that's insofar as the S&P is concerned. Here's a stock chart of the S&P 500, and it's a weekly chart. And you can see the impulse indicator plotted in green, yellow, green, red, and blue. I explained this before, but anyway, when the bar is blue, it means that we have a choice. We could either go long or short. It appears that we might be finding support here, this 9 EMA. You can see it hitting the 9 here, close to the 30 as well. So it appears that we might find that support I'm talking. This is really the first somewhat significant pullback since this market started rallying here. And remember, we were talking about asking the question, when is this thing going to give you some sort of a pullback, a retracement? And here it is. I believe that's what I got. So I'm expecting the market to find support here. So let's look at some individual stocks using Shaken Analytics. The first one here, I own these here, this list. Allergen Technology. You can see it has an oversold buy rating right now, alert right now, and it's oversold. Its money flow is good, positive. These are all setting up nicely. CDNS, another software company, bit overbought right now, but also very bullish. You can see very bullish, strong trend, strong industry, overbought. So it might pull back a bit here, but I still own it. Salesforce pulled back a bit, and it's now sitting right at that long-term average. It's an oversold buy alert, and money flow pulled back, but it's now looking to be very oversold, and so I'm holding this. Facebook, likewise, I'm holding Facebook. Looks very similar. It was oversold here, and now you're getting some buying coming in here, and you can see that it's also bullish. Now I have some neutral ones. FTNT is neutral, and it's oversold. I'm holding on to it. Adobe Adobe, you can see here, it dropped below the 200-day average, and it's now oversold. I still hold it. I like the relative strength, and money flow is not too bad. It's still positive. So, and it's for long-term holding, I think. And Google, another neutral rating. Google is now somewhat overbought, but insofar as this stock is concerned, I think it's a keeper, for longer-term investment, not a trade. Here's Keysight Technology, electronics, strong trend, strong industry. It's only rated neutral, but you can see it's oversold here. I'm still going to keep it. And some of these I have a negative. I'm losing a little bit on some of these. Etsy I bought back again. You see it became very overbought. I waited until it pulled back in here. I bought it in here, somewhere in here. And it's now overbought once more. But I think you can see the money flow is very strong. It's stronger than ever. So I think Etsy is a good one to be holding. And then Dell, I am buying more of Dell. It's now terribly oversold, so I'm just starting to accumulate a little more of Dell. I don't have a very big position, but I think it had a nice run up here, and I like it. Here's a screen used by Mark Shakin, and I put it on my software on the same, Shakin Analytics. And we start off at 479 stocks. We end up with 4, and these are the 4 here. You can take note if you wish. It basically looks for stocks that are power gauge rating of bullish, free cash flow bullish, price to sales bullish, price to book is bullish. It's an oversold level. Money flow is strong. Relative strength is strong. And these are the 4 stocks that come up. Taking a look at some other individual stocks. Here's Microsoft. Microsoft looks very interesting here. On a down day, it was up slightly, a fraction of a percent. But look at the data here. It's neutral. It's not bullish, but still, the relative strength is positive. It's oversold right now, and the money flow has been pretty good. See, it's just below that long-term moving average. Here's another stock that looks pretty promising insofar as the data is concerned here, technically. Now, it's computer software services, ServiceNow, and you can see it rallied up after very good earnings here, and then it corrected a bit. Money flow is pretty positive. It's now oversold, and the relative strength is strong. It's neutral. So this is looking somewhat like Microsoft as another one. And I noticed that IBD mentioned that the mutual funds have been buying up a fair amount of it, both Microsoft and now. Here's a chart of Workday. I like this stock, but unfortunately I had to sell it because it pulled back here. So I sold it, but I would be interested in buying it again. And this looks like setting up to be a good opportunity to buy, although the money flow has become negative. So there's been you can see the selling that went on, but it's now so oversold. And the relative strength is still pretty positive. It's a neutral rating on the power gauge. So I'm looking at Workday again. I want to keep an eye on that one. Here's a chart of PayPal. I like this one. I made some money with it. I traded it when it was oversold here and got out when it became overbought. And now it looks like a good buying opportunity again. Money flow is strong. It's oversold again. And relative strength is good and it's neutral. So I'm going to keep an eye on that one. If I have some cash laying around, I'll buy some more again. And since we're talking about payment systems, how about Visa? Visa moved once again above this long-term moving average, and it's now oversold. And the relative strength is improving. It's neutral rating, and so I think it's time to take another look at Visa. So that's all the time we have, folks. We got about 15 minutes to do this gig. And so I hope you had a good weekend, and let's hope the market brings us some good luck this week.